Where was the hardest hunting for you this year? Because let's be honest, when you guys are coming to hunt, people are resting fields and doing everything they can to make your hunt the best it possibly can be. Where was the hardest hunting that you dealt with Mother Nature and just tough days?
Man, probably at Cold Bay, Alaska. That was tough. The conditions over there just the whole experience in Alaska was so much different. Take everything you know about waterfowl hunting and it does not apply out there. It's all different. So probably there, especially the conditions, it's overcast and rainy every day. The temperatures when we were there, we were there in late September. It really wasn't brutally cold. It was low 30s at night, up into the 40s during the day, but it's always windy and it's always raining. So you're always wet. It's a different kind of cold. You're cold no matter what, but it's not, the temperature may not, you look at the weather and you think it's not going to be cold today, but when you go outside, you end up cold.
Well, and just everything that surrounds the hunt is difficult. It's not. You're not driving to a spot. You're not. Right. You're not walking everything in.
Field. Yeah, you're walking in or boating in, and most of the time you're boating half the way and walking the rest of the way.
So, go ahead.
That's definitely the hardest place we've hunted this year.
Now, did you eat good while you were up there? A lot of crab.
Man, we ate Brant for like at least once a day, every day.
So you ate goose. You're eating what you killed.
Oh,
we ate Brant. Yeah, we ate. You eat what you kill out there. There ain't no Sonic down the road. It's I think the population's like 20, and the only way to get there is by a boat or a plane. And they have one little grocery store. It's like the size of probably this shed in your backyard, and they have like a head of lettuce and a can of dip. That's about all they got.
So as a tobacco user, is that do you have to have all that shit taken care of before you get there?
Yeah, me and Nick, we both brought a roll of dip before we got there, and we ended up going to the little store and they had a couple of cans and we just bought them all up. And we made it last for the week.
I bet the locals cussed your ass out when they were fucking in there.
They probably did because we bought them out. There wasn't nothing left, and they bring in a new shipment. This goes for the whole store, like tobacco, candy, food. I think it comes in every 2 weeks. So like if they run out of like mac and cheese, it's gone for 2 weeks until the next shipment comes in. So
they were definitely cursing those.
There was them fucking bottomlanders down there. So
bottom 48er.
What's the weirdest way you had Brant then?
Damn, I can't even remember all the ways we had it. We had Brant wings. Up there, you have to clean. You can't just pull the breast out and call it good like we do here. You have to clean the legs and the wings, or else it's wanting waste. So we basically ate any kind of edible portion of the Brant. But we had Brant wings. That was probably the weirdest thing. Going into it, I really didn't want to eat one, but I was being polite, and they made them and everything. We started eating them, and I think we ended up cleaning them out. They were actually pretty damn good.
And it's the actual wing, it's not like something. It's the actual fucking wing of the Brant.
What else would you call wings?
Yeah,
well, you got like boneless wings, and that's just the fucking breast. So don't let them fool you.
No. I'm talking about wings, bone-in, traditional style wings.
I mean, Rocky Mountain oysters are really balls, Jeff.
Yes,
so
don't
come at me with fucking technicalities here. I want to make sure that we're talking about the actual wings.
I didn't understand what kind
Brant.
of fucking wing you thought he was going to be eating.
Where the fuck you think a Rocky Mountain oyster is? There's no oysters in Rocky Mountains.
I understand that. I know they're fucking bull balls.
Okay, so
anyways, back to these Brant wings. So what else did you have? You told me when you were here something about, and I can't remember what it was.
I was hoping you would remember, dude. I've slept so many days
because I've always thought about that story when you told me that. It was some other part of the Brant y'all ate, and we
had Brant stew, Brant sandwiches,
Brant sandwiches. That was it, and I thought, that does not sound good at all.
It sounds like
that one. That was on day one. We got off the plane, come into the lodge, and he's like, got him, like, we get off the plane, step into the lodge, drop our bags in the room. He's like, we got Brant sandwiches on the table. Or no, he didn't even tell us. He said I think he just said, because it was barbecue. It was like pulled pork, but with Brant. And I think he just said we had barbecue sandwiches or something like that. And so we're like, oh, hell yeah, whatever. So we go sit down at the table, and he's like, we're going to eat these real quick and then go walk in for a Brant hunt. We just landed, and we're like, damn, we're already hunting? So he's like, yeah, eat these sandwiches, and then we'll go walk in and hunt this evening. So we sat down, and it was a weird-ass texture. It was like pulled pork, but you could tell it wasn't pork. And we ate it, and it was pretty good, but it was day one, so we're kind of in shock already, like trying to take it all in, and we kind of ate them like, slowly, like, just kind of weird, knowing something wasn't right. And then we ended up finishing lunch and went hunting. And I was like, what the hell do we eat for lunch? And he's like, oh, that was pulled pork Brant or some shit like that.
Brant.
I'm
like,
left out the pork. I haven't even killed the Brant. Like, what am I eating? I don't even know what this is.
So how much meat is there on a Brant wing? Like, you got to eat a million of them? It's like chicken wings. You got to eat a million of them to make a meal?
Yeah, they're pretty small. I don't know. A Brant's probably the size of a mallard. So probably, if you can imagine pulling a mallard wing out, about that size. But it's just a bone with that much meat on it.
We've got a Brant mounted above Andy right here, and I'm looking at that motherfucker, and some bitch looks a whole lot better mounted than it would on a fucking piece of bread.
Yeah, just imagine that on your plate.
I've cleaned thousands of geese. Thousands. Not once have I ever taken the wing apart to see how much meat is on.
I've never heard of anybody doing it until now. Ever. When you're fucking hungry, though, you're hungry.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers.
Hell yeah.
Feet and everything else if you're hungry enough.
God almighty, I bet there ain't very many fat fuckers on that little island or that little town you're on.
No. Those guys are a different breed. And it makes cleaning birds take so much longer, too, because you can't just, we can do it pretty quick pulling the breast, just pulling the skin apart and cutting the breast out. But you got to do that, and you got to cut the legs off and then the wings. So it takes a pretty good while to clean everything But we would...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
you're in a part of the world where there's fucking crabs, king crabs. And you're eating a goddamn Brant wing.
Yeah, dude. But we also had a lot of cool stuff. One night, one of the neighbors, this is kind of crazy, the dude that lived right beside where we were staying, he come over and he was like, hey, I killed a caribou this morning.
Oh, there you go.
Do you want this leg? So we walk into the garage and there's a caribou leg hanging from cheesecloth in the garage. And they're like, yeah, that's what we're having for dinner. That was pretty damn good, actually. It was pretty similar to... Yeah, we had caribou, and then we caught some salmon. Had those one day. What else do we have?
See, now you're talking.
Yeah, I don't understand why you're eating Brant every day. No, I mean, go fishing.
Well, we ate 3 meals. Every meal you cook, there's no fast food or nothing like that. So we would cook. We usually had a pretty traditional breakfast, biscuits and gravy or something like that before the hunt. We would go hunt, kill the Brant, bring them back, and usually I think we had Brant for lunch. We would kill them, bring them back, clean them, and throw them on the grill or however they were cooking them that day, crock pot, whatever. That's what we had for lunch, and then we would just kind of hang around and screw off the rest of the day, and then we'd have a main course for dinner, which was usually like salmon or caribou or what else do we have? Shit, I can't even remember what all we had.
One of the best meals I ever had in my life was, there's two are shore lunches, fishing up north, and eating walleye, and I had moose in the Minto Flats in Alaska, and boy, that was about as good a meal as I ever had in my life.
I don't think I've ever had moose.
It's really good. Yeah,
I've never had caribou.
Oh, what was the shore lunch?
Just fried potatoes and fried fish in Wisconsin or Minnesota on the shore. A guide, you go on a fishing trip, and they make shore lunch. And the fresh
we did
fish
that
is
one
good
day.
stuff.
We had I think it was like Wednesday, or it was midweek. It was the middle of the week that we were there, and Charlie, the guide, the head captain over there, he was calling it the big day. And so basically we packed 2 meals. We packed a cooler full of food and drinks and everything. We got in the boat, and it was like an hour-and-a-half boat ride to this bay that we hunted. And everything out there is tidal. Like, it doesn't depend, like, you're not waking up and hunting at daylight necessarily. It just depends on when the tide's coming in and out. But this spot was such a long boat ride, you had to motor in during high tide, and then you hunt as the tide's falling. That's when you kill them, because you hunt on the beach, and then when the tide starts falling out, all these Brant are rafted up in the middle of the bay. You can see them and hear them out in front of you. And as the tide starts falling, they'll just kind of trickle off and come up to the beach to feed on eelgrass. So you basically just put your decoys. We ran the V2F black and whites, just stuck them in the beach, and you basically just sit on the edge of the beach right at the high water mark and cover up with the eelgrass, and no blind or anything. You just sit on the beach, and we hunted all day like that. So we motored in at high tide, hunted as the tide fell out, and then you're stuck. Your boat's on dry ground. You got to sit there until high tide comes back.
Oof.
So it's like you get there before daylight, at high tide, you hunt all day. Tide goes all the way out, and then you're stuck until that evening when the tide comes back. So that was the big day. We stayed on the beach all day. And for lunch, we brought, what did we bring? We had tortillas and potatoes and stuff like that, seasonings. And then we actually cut the brant that we killed that morning. We sliced them up and put them on the propane grill and made brant fajitas that we just killed on the beach. And those were actually pretty freaking good. I don't know if it was just because we were in the middle of nowhere and hadn't ate for 3 days.
Because you wrapped it up in a tortilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything's good in a tortilla. You can put a dog turd in a tortilla.
I think I remember seeing that on Instagram. Didn't y'all didn't y'all have a brant come in like as y'all are cooking lunch?
It was a honker. We had or maybe not a honker. It was a Canada goose though. It came in. We shot all different sizes of Canada geese. They've got the Aleutian geese, which are like the smallest of the. I think they're the smallest of the Canada goose. They're smaller than. We shot some of those, and then we shot mid-sized geese, and we shot a couple big honkers. I think that was a big honker that came in while we were eating lunch. We had the propane grill fired up. Everybody was munching. This goose started honking, and he was coming in, so I grabbed my camera and started videoing. He come right in. We shot him while we were eating. That's the one you're thinking of that you saw on Instagram.
But the food, I mean, it looked good. I didn't know what y'all were eating that day, but it looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, it actually really was good. All the food that we had, it was kind of culture shock for me being from Arkansas. I ain't never ate anything remotely close to what we were eating that week. But, I mean, looking back at it, I really didn't eat anything that was disgusting. Some of the stuff was really, really good, and some of the stuff was, good enough you could eat it. But we never really had anything that was just, well, and also, like, if it's too gross to eat, if you're a pussy and don't want to eat it, then you just go without a meal because there ain't nothing else to eat. So you go for a day without eating, the next day, don't matter what we're having, you're probably going to eat it.
I'm not a big fan of Spam, but if I think I was going up there again, I'd be taking some Spam with me or something.
Yeah, I would have definitely liked some Viney Weenies while I was out there.
I agree with you there. So, what logistics on that? Did you fly into Fairbanks, Juneau? What'd y'all do? Anchorage?
Yeah. So that was a pretty long stretch that I went on. I think I was going for 30 days. That stretch, I left home. We actually flew to upstate New York. We started there on that stretch. We hunted up there. Just like one of the days we were less than a mile from the Canadian border. We were way up there hunting honkers for 2 days, and then we left. We flew from upstate New York to Chicago, had a layover in Chicago, flew from Chicago to Anchorage, spent the night in Anchorage, and then the next morning flew from Anchorage to Kobe. That was a lot of travel. Coming from New York to Kobe, Alaska, that's like 4 different time zones. So we got there at noon and felt like it was time to go to bed on our bodies.
Telling you were probably so fucking jet lagged.
Yeah, it was weird. And then we hunted that afternoon that we got there, and then the next morning when we woke up, I don't even remember setting an alarm. We woke up at like 9 o'clock and it was still dark outside, and I was like, "What in the world? This is weird."
Where did what was the plane ride from Anchorage to Kobe? Were you on a pontoon boat or were you on a plane?
Man, no, it really wasn't that small. It was a commercial airline. It was, one of the smaller ones. It was a tiny commercial line, but it wasn't really much different than what you would fly on here in the States. They got one runway there in Kobe, and I think it comes in twice a week on Sunday and Wednesday.
So you didn't have to fly on a
bush
plane. That's what I was thinking.
No, we didn't.
That was one of the coolest experiences I had, was getting to land or flying a bush plane in Alaska, buzzing over the trees. It's just so unnatural to land on water.
Yeah, dude. I kind of wished we would have flown on something like that, but we didn't. But I know what you're talking about, flying with Forrest and our little dive bomb plane, that little Cessna we've got. Forrest is a damn good pilot, and he does some sketchy stuff. And we've flown over some cool rivers and some cool landscapes. They look so cool from the air, being in such a small plane.